Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Alison.
Hi.
Hi.
So, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, good.
Any thoughts after last session?
I mean, it was good to get started. I wasn't sure, exactly what this was going to be like. So it was good to kind of have a proper chat and also as we were talking last time, I kind of was aware that the things I was perhaps saying to you I hadn't really said to other people. So
Right.
that was quite interesting, just sort of kind of realizing that.
Yes.
So see where we go with that, I guess.
That you don't talk to people much about what's going on or what's been happening.
I guess not. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that as a thing. It was just I suppose I was telling you about the diagnosis and I get, I tell people, but then and that's it. I just kind of tell them
and okay, sort of minimize it.
So I think you kind of carried on asking sort of questions about it, and I think that that was a bit uncomfortable, but it also was sort of made me start thinking about it a bit more. Yeah.
What's the uncomfortableness about, do you think?
I'm just not used to it. I'm just not used to anyone really sort of being interested, I suppose. I mean, that's, don't mean to, disrespect my friends or anything, but I just sort of don't really expect someone to really want to know, I suppose.
Okay.
So, yeah. So just when I think about my mum, I suppose also I think that probably, growing up, I wouldn't have said things to her because I was always afraid that I'd have got something wrong,
Right.
So I don't know why I just kind of thought of that, but I was kind of linking that, I suppose, to not really saying things, mainly just sort of think about what the other person's going to be needing. And
yes. So I thought we could maybe start trying to map some of these patterns out a bit today.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned
yeah.
that.
So in CAT we try and draw the patterns in a kind of diagram or map so that you can then start to make better sense of it, see it slightly from a distance and start to kind of notice it when it's happening in between sessions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'll share a whiteboard and do some mapping. So a whiteboard will come up that I can draw on. It's possible you can draw on it too, I'm not sure. But we can still see each other in a small panel on the side.
Okay.
And maybe we'll start with that kind of relationship with your mum, that feeling that you were maybe going to get things wrong. Is that okay? Can you see that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work. Oh yeah, I can see you now. Yeah. Okay.
So if we were going to sort of describe the relationship with your mum, we did talk a bit about it last time. Do you want to just say a bit more about it in terms of not telling her stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's just, my mum was very good at things. She's very organised and on top of things, and everything was just so. And she was very busy as well. So, and I think that therefore, it was quite difficult for her if, particularly I guess as Zoe was so kind of, she was quite a handful.
That was your sister?
Yeah. That I was just aware that if I got anything not wrong as such, but just if I bothered her at all, that she didn't really have the time or capacity for it. So so I just sort of tended to kind of try not to bother her, I suppose.
So do you think your mum, was she quite stressed, do you think, or could you tell?
That's my memory, and now she's kind of a bit sort of snappy, I noticed, if you kind of, she's busying herself doing something, like if we go round for lunch or something, she'll be getting everything ready, and if you ask her a question, she'll be very sort of, it's over there, or I'm nearly ready, or it's this kind of jumping sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's hard to relax around.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite anxious to be around her.
I feel like I'm always on edge, okay, watch what's happening, don't do anything wrong.
So I've written busy, stressed, and likes things just so. Is that sum it up?
Yeah, that busy, stressed, yes, that's that feeling.
And so it sounds like you felt in relation to that, you would feel quite sort of stressed yourself, or anxious, or how would you describe the...
As we're talking about it, I just sort of feel a little bit rabbit in the headlights kind of thing. I can't work out quite what to do, I'm sure whatever I do, I'm going to get it wrong.
Right, yeah. I'm going to put rabbit in the headlights. Okay. And bound to get something wrong, bound to get it wrong or something.
That's definitely what it felt. That's what it feels like now, I notice. And looking back, I'm sort of projecting that back to, remember sort of standing, it's sort of a similar image actually. I kind of imagine myself standing in the doorway of the kitchen now when we go around for lunch, but also standing in the doorway of the kitchen as a teenager or something, seeing my mum sort of busying around. Part of me now thinking, well, I could have helped, but then I remember whenever I try to help now, it's just always, no, I'll do it, get out of my kitchen.
Yeah, so it's hard to help.
Yeah, it's hard to help. Yeah, so the best thing is just to sort of keep quiet. And just kind of get on with things, I suppose.
So, and it sounds like it's hard then to talk about your own problems or difficulties, because that would add to the kind of burden, that would make things...
Yeah, well, especially as I said with Zoe, because Zoe was such a hand, I could see how difficult that made things for my mum, and my dad, bless him, basically wasn't much help. He'd just sort of disappear off, and not I think I said last week, it's not like he would go off. He'd go down to his shed or go down to his allotment or something. So I knew that kind of the burden would fall on my mum. So I just got on with things. I did my homework, helped where I could, tried to make sure that I didn't make things more stressful. In many ways, it just sort of, it's kind of trying to make sure everything kind of kept calm. Running to here, do this bit here, do this bit here, Hopefully my mum wouldn't notice, but it would all be kind of soothed for her. Because it never was, never is now.
And you said something earlier about trying to kind of, rather than saying what you need, you'll try and work out what the other person needs.
Well, and that's what I was doing, kind of seeing, I suppose I was seeing, as I think about it, seeing my mum's kind of stress levels go up,
to kind of monitoring the other person in a way.
Yeah, monitoring her. Either keep out of the way or, but even when I was keeping out of the way, I was trying to kind of make sure that I wasn't contributing to the stress in any way, do my homework, do the shopping if necessary, help with the cleaning, whatever I thought might help. to just kind of lower those levels.
Yeah, and what if we think about sort of what were you hoping for? You're hoping everybody was happy and calm and.
Yeah, I think I was hoping. As just then, I just realised I was kind of, as you said that, I sort of breathed. I hadn't noticed that I hadn't really been breathing.
Yes.
Talking about.
So don't even breathe, because that might cause a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I just kind of wanted everyone to just relax. Everyone would be relaxed, and then people would smile and be happy. And I remember going around to a friend's house, and her her parents would sit in the living room, and when we were there, and they'd just sort of chat and laugh, and they didn't seem to have loads of stuff that had to be done all the time, and they were happy to be together, and it just was such a different experience. And I just thought, if I could do enough at home, then maybe that would be the case for us.
That sounds quite sad that you didn't have. Did you have any times like that as a family where things were relaxed and happy?
Yeah, I do remember sometimes. We went on a narrowboat holiday one year, and there were times where definitely when there was kind of sitting around then, although as I'm thinking about that, then I'm remembering there was such a tiny kitchen.
Yes.
More of that. But no, there were times, because I suppose my mum didn't have all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, so she could relax a bit.
Yeah, well, Zoe disappeared one of those days, but no, I do remember that there was some. And so I suppose maybe that, that was when I was a bit younger. I was about 10. Zoe would have been 12, I suppose. So there was sort of, maybe I had that in my head, because I suppose it's more the teenage years I'm remembering.
Right.
Zoe was kicking off, and maybe I was trying to get back to that.
Yeah. Shall I put that on there? So it's like the narrowboat memory.
Yeah.
But I guess, as you say, you almost needed to kind of not do stuff in order to get to that. Whereas it sounds like your instinct was to do more and more, or try and make sure everything was sorted or done, or just, becoming a bit like your mum, wanting things to be just so in order for everyone to be happy and relaxed. But the harder you worked, it sounds like the less relaxed.
I know, it just seems so sad now as you're saying it. Loads of kind of things are firing off in my head. Before you said that, I'd just been looking down at that place and just thinking exactly the same thing, busy and stressed. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like I was.
So in Cat, we think about how you sort of learn. I'm just going to put a circle around that. We often sort of put a circle around kind of key roles that become your sort of go-to place, or your template, or the way you expect things to be in relationships. And this idea that you're not just experiencing being the kind of rabbit in the headlights, but you learn the other role as well. So you kind of learn from example, your mum rushing around doing things and making things just so. So we would think you will have sort of internalized that in a way. So you can be in either of those roles now. I don't know if you're aware of that ever, being a bit busy and stressed to others.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're making me think about yeah, my marriage actually. I feel I'm doing that as well, to be honest.
Right, with your husband.
Yeah.
So just say more. What happens?
Oh, well, just like, so he's got quite a big job, and he's you know, I feel a bit embarrassed really, but I suppose it's kind of an old-fashioned type thing, and you know, there's a certain amount of entertaining that I've had to do over the years, and so the house has always got to be just so, because he invites people back, and I'm responsible for, you know, entertaining, and so I'm just looking at that role and thinking that's what it feels like, you know, that I'm busy and stressed, and but I'm also bound to feel at the bottom quite often like I'm bound to get it wrong. You know, I'm always at the end of the evening, I'm just always kind of, oh, thank God that's over.
You can breathe again.
Yeah. But it's not like it makes it any easier for next time. The next time is just like, oh my God, you know, and then I'm running around trying to get everything sorted so that when they arrive, I can look all calm and, oh yes, it's always like this. So glad you could come. It's just sort of the mad sort of paddling underneath.
Like I'm just thinking of a swan on that narrowboat holiday, maybe.
Yes.
They look beautiful, don't they? They look beautiful and calm, but they're paddling like mad underneath.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. When, you know, looking, you know, I think I'm wearing this kind of white blouse now, but that's me. That's me with this white blouse on and the flippers underneath.
Shall I have a go at drawing that? Can you draw?
No, I can't draw. No.
I'll have a go at drawing a swan. Might not work with this new system, whiteboard system. There we are, looking calm and beautiful. And no one knows how hard you're paddling, do they?
No.
Which is the other problem, I guess, is that you might be very stressed. But sounds like people wouldn't necessarily know that because you wouldn't share that or tell them how you're feeling.
I mean, I feel like I don't want to let Paul down, you know, I don't want to, you know, it's really important that, you know, that I'm there to support him, and that's the role that I took on. That's like my job.
And is that the fear, a little bit about the MS, the multiple sclerosis, that it's going to make it very difficult for you to carry on in that role, or as you have been?
Yeah.
And
then what will happen, you know?
What are you imagining?
I suppose I'm just imagining again my mum getting angry, or I'm not imagining Paul getting angry. I'm just imagining Paul just, I suppose, going off to the shed. He doesn't go off to the shed, but you know, just that kind of thing, and just sort of disappearing.
So not really there, not connected.
And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing. I can't make the MS go away now. It's there.
Well, I guess some of this work might be around finding a way of being that is not so stressful, not so difficult, or finding a way to communicate more how you're feeling, or what your needs are. Because I guess the problem with this is you're busy trying to work out what the other person needs, but your needs tend to get ignored or neglected.
But if I don't work out what the other person needs, then they're going to get all stressed, aren't they? You know.
Well, that's the fear in your mind, I guess. That's what you've experienced growing up. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the case now. You perhaps predict that, but it's not necessarily the case that the people around you now would feel as busy and stressed. And
I just can't imagine what it would be like if I don't carry on doing what I'm doing. I mean, I don't experience Paul as stressed. I mean, I know he is really busy, but I just worried, I suppose, that just feels really weird, my stuff being in the relationship.
So does he not know how you're feeling at all, really, about the diagnosis? You're not talking to him about it?
We talk about it, but I don't know, it just feels different, this idea that I won't be able to do the try to work out what others need thing.
Well, I guess you can still do that, but it's about perhaps moderating it a bit so that your needs come into the picture as well. So at the moment, it sounds like things are very one way, and your needs aren't really, like, you don't even think about your needs, let alone talking to other people about them.
I don't really have time, to be honest. I mean, what with Paul and the house and the children, I mean, it's just, you know, there's just so much to do. But that's not what it feels like when you're talking about I just can't see, if I have this thing and that's going to be in the relationship, it's going to be there at home, and that means I'm not going to be able to be this perfect swan. I'm going to be leaking stuff, I'm going to be flailing, I don't know.
And then what are you afraid might happen if you weren't that perfect swan?
They'll be disappointed that Paul he'll disappear.
Do you think he would leave you? Is that your fear?
I just think he wouldn't be interested anymore. I just can't imagine putting my stuff in there. It just doesn't feel right. It's never, I mean, I don't think I'm explaining it very well, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I can understand it would feel very unfamiliar and strange.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit scary.
Yeah.
And so how has it been to sort of have that in between us, as it were, or have your needs as part of this therapeutic relationship telling me things that you perhaps wouldn't normally tell?
It feels really uncomfortable. I mean, you know, I know that you're really good at this, you know, that's why I've come to you. But it's really, I thought it would be something, I didn't really think about it, but I suppose I thought it'd be something that would be like being taught something.
Okay, yeah.
And I could do it, you know, like
yes.
Going to school and learning, and now it seems to be more about I've got to be it.
Yes, much more difficult.
And then I think about, I mean, I don't think that I'm not being me with my husband. I don't think I'm not being me with Paul, but it just, just feel like I just want to kind of go, hang on. I just want people to back off a bit.
So is that how you're feeling? You want me to back off a bit at the moment?
Well, you're being lovely, and I don't mean that about you personally. It's just feels a bit intrusive. You're not meaning to be, I know, but.
So I suppose there's something about the consequence of this pattern is that people don't see the whole of you. So I guess you are being you, but you're not being the whole of you, perhaps. The more difficult bits or the more emotional bits aren't seen. Is that fair?
I guess not. I hadn't really ever thought about it, but I guess not.
So, and maybe keeps people at a distance a bit. Do you think it keeps people at a distance? Does anyone do your friends ever say, "Oh, I don't really feel I know you," or
no? No, I don't know what it would be like not to be like I am. So maybe
have I spelt that right? People looks wrong, doesn't it? Is it E? That's better, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's true. I hadn't really realised it.
And it seems like there's a fear that if people did see the whole of you, they would not want to know, or they would reject you, or not be interested, or.
Yeah, I think it's that they're not interested, and then I'm not sure what they do with that. So I guess I started thinking back to that sort of example, that sort of standing in the kitchen doorway type thing, and it's that, I suppose I felt like my mum wasn't interested, as well as that she wasn't
Expressed, yeah,
and that my dad wasn't interested because he was in his shed. And that Paul is only interested now because I do what I'm supposed to do.
So I've put not interested, and also kind of not there enough. I'm thinking not there enough emotionally, or something about thinking about that teenager or that younger you, feeling that you weren't being supported or comforted or reassured or any of that emotional stuff that I'm guessing you needed.
Yeah. Oh, so quite a lot of stuff there, really, isn't there now?
So how did it feel to be? It feels very alone, or what would the feeling be?
About it, I just got on with it, so that was just normal.
Didn't expect anything.
I mean, my only real memory is that feeling that we've already put, is the anxiety bit. Just trying to get it right, trying to keep everything calm. I didn't really notice anything else.
What fear? I mean, I suppose one way of thinking about if your children were growing up in that family, in that experience, how do you think they would feel?
It kind of breaks my heart thinking about it, really. Can't imagine. It'd be horrible. They just feel really unloved, unimportant.
Yeah. So do you think that it's possible that that's how you felt, sort of underneath? You weren't aware of it. It sounds like you're much more aware of this kind of anxious feeling.
Maybe, yeah.
Got some colours. Oh, colours coming in here. We've got too many circles now. So the idea of this diagram, if I can, I can't get rid of that now. Oh yes, maybe that's it. The idea of the diagram is that you can start to see some of these patterns in your relationships with yourself, with other people, with your husband, with your children, with me. Start to notice things as they happen, and then you've got maybe some choices about things being a bit different. So, and I can understand what you're saying, that it feels impossible to imagine that at the moment. We sometimes I forget drawing an eye, like an observing eye, that you can see these things just slightly from a distance, from a safe distance, instead of being very caught up in them. Not a very good eye, but as we have been doing today, a few times you've said, oh, you're making me think this, or you're making me, notice something that you perhaps wouldn't normally notice. So that kind of observing eye will help us in this work.
Okay.
So we need to stop now. So I'm going to save this.
Okay.
I don't know if you can save it, or do you want to take a photo of it on your phone or something, or I can email it to you.
Yeah, could you email it to me?
Okay, will do.
I have my phone with me.
Stop sharing. Okay. So can you do this time again next week?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you then. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.